Good morning. It's quite cold out today, as you can see. Yesterday had a really good frost and wanted to take some macro pictures with do some stacking. So I'm going to show a bit of a tutorial of how to do that. Yesterday I got some good pictures, so I'll put a few of them up now, and I'll also put up my favourite picture, which was a daisy I took last year, but I didn't really take any video of it, so I thought today I'll try and get a video of what I'm doing and try and show people how it's done. This is the setup. I'll go into a bit more detail. This is the friendliest robin. I've got a photo of his feet on the frost last week actually. I'll put that up so you can see it's not quite as cold today. You can see the posts aren't frozen. He's always hanging around here. Obviously he gets food, so he's not very scared of anyone. It's amazing how close you can get with a wide angle lens. Lake's a bit frozen over because we've had a few days of cold. You can see, hopefully you can see that. You get a bit of a better idea of how cold it is. So the lake's frozen over a little bit. The ducks are walking rather than swimming. It's a really pretty morning actually. I think we're going to get a bit of a warm up in weather. I don't know how good the macro is going to be today with the frost because it's just not quite cold enough, but we'll go and see if we can find something. This is more what I'm looking for. So you've got a lot more thick frost here. So yeah, some of it's quite, I don't know how well I'll show on this camera, but there's quite thick layers of frost. So go in this direction I think and see what I can find. So away from the trees, the frost's thicker, see it's just that bit colder. You see it's all attached itself to all the sort of the dying vegetation over the winter time. Looks really nice. I'm just looking for something that might be of interest to take some macro pictures with. This is my setup that I use, train. So you can see my tripod on my backpack. That's really the only reason I've got a backpack with me today. And this is my Systems camera. There is, sorry about that, there is a macro lens on here with a circular polarizer on it, a flash, I think it's a Godox, I'll put the details in the description, and a Cygnustech diffuser. So that diffuses the flash, gives nice light over the subject. And I'll also be stacking, which means I'll be taking a lot of photographs and stacking them together to make one picture. This is because with close-up photography in particular, you get a very narrow depth of field, so the plane of focus is very thin. And if I stack them together, take lots of slithers of many pictures and slowly move the focal plane each time, you can create one picture. So I'll put an example on the screen of a single picture and then a stacked picture, and you can see the difference in the focal plane. And some of these stacks can run to, I think some people stack over 100 images. I've gone up to about 80 so far, and I think I need to probably go a little bit higher. The closer you get, the more stacks you get. It's just laws of physics. I won't pretend I fully understand it. Alright, I'm going to find something to photograph, get the tripod set up, and we'll have another look. My previous favourite Frosty macro picture was of this, I think it's thistle. It was a bit bigger, and I think it was later in the year, February time. and there was a really good frost in it over by the canal. I'll put a picture of it up, but unfortunately I wasn't really into stacking then, so it's not a stacked image, but it still came up nicely just with the natural light, with the sun hitting it, which I should be able to get some of soon. But I'm trying to find a good one of these so I can actually get a good stack. So I'll see if I can find something nice. I believe these are called catkins, and this particular bunch just here, just already point with mittens on, these three are quite a nice shape, and if I come slightly below them I can get a nice blurry background. So I'm going to take just a single exposure rather than a stack of these and see how that comes out, and if it comes out nicely I might get the tripod out as well. These gloves are the best thing for photography, so you can actually get access to your fingers and thumbs when you need to, but tuck them away when it's cold. Yeah, I just realised left my battery for my flash at home because I had to charge it last night, so I can't do any stacks with flash today, but that's okay. There's absolutely no wind, so I can do some natural light stacks, which just means I need to do them on the tripod, so I won't get a single frame of this. It'll just be too difficult handheld. So I'll do it on the tripod, so I'll get that set up and show you what I've done. 101, bring your batteries. The camera is silent, by the way, because it uses an electronic shutter, so it doesn't make a very satisfying mirror slap noise. Let's find something else. So this is the setup I had. I don't need this on with no battery in my flash, but anyway, it's easier just to keep it on there for later. Sun's coming up, which means two things. One, going to get some good natural light, which is useful for people that forgot batteries for flashes, and two, things are going to start melting, so anything in the sun, not just yet, but after a while will start to melt, and that doesn't look so good for frosty pictures. So I'm going to look for something that's in the sun and try and get a natural stack. There's still absolutely no wind. It's really nice. Found this little patch of leaves. They're going to be really little on a wide angle. Got them sort of lined up. Need to change the focus of that a little bit, or the framing. Actually, I can show you what it looks like on the video here on the actual camera, so you can actually see what I'm looking at through the screen on the camera. So I'm going to get a stack of this and we'll see how that looks. Got a bit of nice natural light on that. There's also another nice one just here. I might try and grab that before it melts in the sun. Some really nice light at the moment. Wow, it is a nice day. I don't mind if it's like this all winter, except the heating in the house can't seem to keep up, but it's so nice. I'm sure grey days are going to resume pretty quickly, as is usually in the UK, but at the moment it's amazing. Hopefully I'll get some more opportunities to come out and remember my flash battery. It's actually, yeah, the light on these leaves is really nice. So natural lighting beats flash wherever possible, and I'm lucky enough that I can do that today. This is how quickly things change. Yeah, frost on this now, only a tiny bit where the sun hasn't quite hit it for very long. So you have a pretty small working opportunity, but fortunately with the sun low in the sky, things shadow other things. There's always something for the first few hours of the day, unless it warms up too quickly, so I'll be fine. I found what I think is a rose hip. I'll just film it on the Olympus OM, whatever it is. You can see it's started to defrost up on the right side there. The sun's hit it, so the frost is starting to melt. But I got a few frames off on it, so hopefully we've got something nice. Yeah, it's definitely going to be way warmer than yesterday. I'm going to head over to this side of the site. There's some big trees over there, and the sun will be behind them over on that side, so things there will still be frosty, and then I'll wait for the light to hit them so they're not melting as I photograph them. But yeah, this is I think it's an old landfill site, and they're still wondering what to do with it. I think they should just allow it to rewild, personally. Seems like it's doing well. There's quite a lot of wildlife around here. I could maybe improve the biodiversity a little bit, but yeah, I'm all for rewilding anything we can, so hopefully they'll do that. I found quite an interesting bit of frosty long grass. It's amazing what becomes interesting when you're doing macro photography. But I've learned in the past, even when there's no wind, these things just still wobble around, and they're a right pain. So they're more of a single frame photo, so I'm not going to bother with that one today. Dead stinging nettles over here. This is a good location because the sun's still behind the trees, just peeking through because there's not really any leaves in them, but everything's still frozen. But if I find something good, I can wait for the light to hit it and it won't defrost before I photograph it. Something I learned last year when I was photographing the daisy is you have to be really careful of your own breath. So if you accidentally breathe on what you're photographing, it's ruined. So you've got to be careful of that. Try and breathe through your nose rather than mouth breathe. Alright, I'm going to see if I find anything, and if not, I'm going to call it a day. This is something that got my interest yesterday when I was in my back garden with the frost, but there wasn't any good examples of it. So I was looking at the thorns on a rose, but they didn't quite look right. But here I've got thorns on some brambles, so I'm going to try and get the last picture of the day, or stack of the day, of these. I'll get a little video on the camera so you can see what I'm seeing. I'm just trying to find a good one. These thorns to photograph. So I've got these lined up to photograph. I'll put it up on screen, but I'm using this, my phone light, just to help a little. So I'll show you just a little bit nicer light if I just shine that in there. So I'm going to use that to take my picture. I have to be careful not to move the light around too much, or it'll change when you're taking multiple frames. It should be fine. I'll find the optimal position for it, not blocking the lens. So what have we learned today? I learned that brambles are prickly. I learned to check my gear the night before, and that GoPros are terrible, and mine's packed up for about the third time today. I tried taking the battery out, and this time it didn't fix it, so maybe it's done for good this time. I'll show you a bit of the editing later on. Won't be later for you, and yeah, you can see kind of what goes into all this, and if anyone's interested, I'll make some more videos in the future. I've loaded the pictures into Lightroom just to show you. So there's 37 images in this one stack. So if we have a look through them, if I scroll through them, you can see the focus pane is changing as I go through. So we've gone from focus at the front to focus at the back. And it kind of looks like the frame is changing a bit as well. Even though we're on a tripod, it's due to focus breathing, which is when you're very close and you're changing focus, it also changes the framing a little bit as well. Some lenses are better for this than others. There's the Olympus Systems 90mm lens is supposed to be better than this one, which is the 60mm lens. So one day I hope to get that lens, but it's quite an expensive one. That's the 37 images that we're going to stack. So I'll open up Helicon Focus, which is the stacking software, and then we'll drag the images in. So they'll come from over here. So this is the folder we were just browsing in Lightroom. So I just drag them in here and they load up, and you can see that's showing the first image focused towards the front. And then there's 3 different methods of stacking. They just some methods work better for some types of images than others, but it's easy to do and you can change the parameters of them. So we'll just go with the depth map. It seems to work about the best on most images, and I'll leave the default settings. So I'll click render, and what you'll see on the left is the source image, the first one, and on the right you'll see the image started to be rendering. And it's probably going to be a little bit slow because I'm recording this as well at the same time, and it uses a lot of computing power, so yeah, just give it a second to finish stacking. Alright, so the stack is now finished, so you can see the difference between the source image on the left, where you've only got a tiny bit in focus, to the one on the right where pretty much everything except for the extreme foreground is in focus, and obviously the background's still going to be very blurred because that's probably about a couple of feet away from the rear of this rose or bramble thorn here. So really all you have to do now is save the image, so we can just save the output, and we're in the demo folder, so I'll just call this stacked demo, and we'll save that. And I saved it as a DNG so we can edit it in Lightroom. So if we go back to Lightroom, go back here, and we scan the folders. So we've got the folder here, so I synchronize that folder. There's a new photo there now, and we'll see it appear. And we'll just import that. And there we are. This is our image. You can see it's now in Lightroom, and you can do all your normal editing on the images in the image here, like you normally would. They recommend you don't edit the images before you stack them, and then just save it as a TIFF or a DNG, and then you can edit it. And yeah, so we could put some minor edits in here, and you can see some improvements. So if we go to the highlights, the shadows, and you can see the whites and the blacks, just bringing them to a little bit better. And yeah, you do some sharpening and do a bit of unsharp masking as well because of that background. But yeah, I wouldn't do too many edits on this. The image is quite interesting, I think, because there's this bit of green in the background as well. But yeah, this one's come out quite nice. It's not my favourite, but it's a good example of yeah, seeing what 37 images stacked together can look like. So I'll end the video here, and we can just finish by looking at a few of the images captured. Thanks for watching.